Hello and welcome to the Skip Ace Fantasy Disc Golf Podcast, your choice for the best intro music in all of the disc golf podcasts. And I'm your host, John Van Derzen. That was Jawbreaker, The Boat Dreams from the Hill off 24 Hour Revenge Therapy, a great NorCal band. I could have picked Green Day, but honestly, there's something about Jawbreaker that just kind of gets you moving. Here we are on episode 6, the OTB Open. First, we're going to recap some of my picks from Jonesboro and make some OTB predictions. Sorry, my voice is a little bit raspy. I spent the weekend yelling at myself playing disc golf, as we all do. Let's go over my picks for Jonesboro. I made 2 must-have picks, one in MPO and one in FPO. In MPO, it was Calvin Heimberg, and in FPO, Kristen Tatar. Vinny is really comfortable at the disc side of heaven, and both players finished relatively well. Calvin Heimberg won, and Kristen Tatar took 6th place, which is probably a little disappointing for her, but after that huge Champions Cup win, no surprise there was a letdown week, and she was prepping to go home. Her mind was probably in other places. We should have known that. My riskier picks for Jonesboro were Ezra Aderhold and Stacy Ronsley. Ezra ended up finishing in 13th place. I think that was really well. It put him above where his ratings positioned him. So I'm going to count that as a good pick or a good call on my part for that week. And then Stacy Ronsley was in a solid 14th spot. That's about 12 spots higher than her rating. So I would say both of my riskier picks worked out for you if you chose to use them. Now let's look at the players I told you to avoid at Jonesboro. Isaac Robinson and Jessica Weiss. Okay, clearly I picked wrong with Isaac Robinson. I thought that he was going to be the one to have a letdown week after Champions Cup, but ultimately we found out that was Tatar. Isaac ended up finishing in 2nd place, so hopefully he didn't listen to me on that one. I'm going to go on record and say that if you can get Isaac in your lineup somehow, he's on the verge of a must-start guy every week. He's right up there with Vinny right now. But Jessica Weiss, she finished just a spot or 2 below where her rating actually positioned her. It's kind of a wash. My Jonesboro players to avoid not as solid as my picks. But that was last week. Let's move over to OTB. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Eagle wins. He looks so good right now, and in general, the West Coast swing has always done him well. He won this event 2 years ago. Last year, as we know, Simon won. But if you don't want to use all the ratings points for Eagle, I've got maybe a different player you could go out and grab. And that's Aaron Gossage. Aaron averaged 5th place here over the last 2 years and is coming off a huge win over the 303 Open. So save yourself some points. If you can afford it, throw Aaron Gossage in there. My risky MPO pick this week, a player that could finish well and still save you even more ratings points, is going to be Chandler Fry. Chandler finished 14th here 2 years ago and 5th here last year. And I'm only using the last 2 years because this event skipped the year before that, and the year before that it was in San Francisco. This is only the 3rd year we're going to be playing at Stockton. And Chandler Fry is only rated 1,013, so you could grab him as well as someone like an Eagle or an Aaron Gossage. Over on the women's side, there are quite a few women here who have done well over the last 2 years, but the one I'm going to stick with is Ella Hansen. Ella's rated 966 and has finished 10th and then 3rd last year. The course just really suits her well. It tends to be more of a thrower's course in the past. If you're looking for that diamond in the rough in FPO, you've got a few options. 5-time world champion Juliana Korver has played well here. She's only 943 rated. Sayananda is making her comeback to the tour this week. Allie Smith riding a hot hand. She's only rated 934. But she has 0 history at this course. My personal pick, I know, call me foolish here. This is a real risky pick. Kona Star Montgomery. Kona has been posting on her Instagram how much better she's feeling, physically and mentally. She's over some of her thyroid. She just got over COVID. And she's really excited to play, and she's played well here in the past. So I'm going to take a huge risk. And I'm going to pick Kona Star Montgomery. Now, some players to avoid at the OTB Open. In MPO, personally, I'm going to avoid Alden Harris. Alden just hasn't been able to crack the top 20 here the past few years. With his rating, it's just too many points to risk for an unproven player at this event. And over on the FPO side, the player I'm going to avoid is Emily Beach. Emily's 950 rated, but last year she finished in 20th place. So much like Alden, too many points to risk. Let's talk about draft leagues. Waiver wire for MPO. These, again, are players who are rostered in less than 65% of leagues who might be out there available for you to grab. In the past few weeks, I've told you to grab Una Heinonen and Austin Turner. Both are still out there in less than 65% of leagues, and they're not bad pickups. But this week, I think if I had room on my bench for a riskier player that I would think about playing, I mentioned him earlier, Chandler Fry. He's really only owned in 34% of leagues, and he has a really good record on this course. I put him in that high potential area. He's probably not a guy that I would keep long term, but if you're really only looking for a 1 week replacement, I think he's your man. The FPO waiver, I would look at 5-time world champion Juliana Korver. She took 6th here 2 years ago. But if you're looking for the super deep sleeper pick, the really deep sleeper, it's Natalie Ryan. Now, she probably has about a 5% chance of actually playing at this event, depending on the outcome of this court hearing. But if she does get to play, she's rated 960, and you have to expect her to probably take a top 10 finish. A lot like Chandler Fry, she's only going to be a 1 week replacement because there's no way right now she's going to be able to play the other events. But if she can get into this one, I see a very high ceiling for her. So I would gamble and get her on your bench just in case. Now, if you want to see all my data that I've gathered over the last few years, you can find a link in the show notes below, or just go to skipace.com/OTBpast. This is the exclusive place that I share my research with you. I don't post it anywhere else. A few other notes. Ricky, still not back. Paige Pierce, though, she is playing. She's been resting her shoulder. Val Mondahano, still out. And in fact, I hear that the soonest she's going to be playing is DDO. I would honestly think about putting her in the IR spot and grabbing one of those other FPO players if you're still holding on to Val. And last but not least, this week's sponsor for the OTB Open Skip Ace Pro Only Event Matchup Challenge is OTB, only the best discs. Thanks for sponsoring this week a $75 gift certificate to their store. So be like me and order a few putters that you swear you're going to use during that practice time that you probably rarely actually ever do. I just picked up a bunch of medium pures from OTB, got into my house a few days later, and now they're sitting in my backyard, in my basket, not getting used because I'm here recording this podcast. So thank you, OTB, for your sponsorship this week. And now here's my daughter, Violet, to close out the show.
Thanks for listening to the show. Bye.